Drinking water all day at your tournaments and still feel tired? What if we could hydrate you from the cellular level? At BioWorks Mobile IV Service, our licensed professionals understand what it takes to get through a long day of exercise. We use all natural vitamins to increase hydration, recovery, and prolonged athletic endurance. Help your team get to the podium. Book now by texting the number on your screen or calling today. Call 972-948-8207 to book now. That's 972-948-8207. BioWorks. Hydrate, win, repeat.
In the Pits is partnered with Podrunners Union. Podrunners Union breaking news. Super limited Union Tech tees and, for the first time, Fiesta medals are available online at podrunnersunion.org. Use offer code PITS for 10% off of your order. Stealing pods for undeserving teams. It's a living. In the Pits is partnered with XTPL Events. The Extreme Tournament Paintball League is a series put on by the Lukow family of Paintball Fit fame that gives the opportunity for players to learn and grow together as a team. 3-man, Challengers and Champions X-Ball, Draft Mech X-Ball, and even Youth 3v3. There's something for everyone at XTPL. Not to mention prize tosses, raffles, and the infamous paintball munching contest. Events happen throughout the year, and the prizes never disappoint. Sign up for an XTPL event today on PB Leagues. In the Pits is partnered with Hydra. Designed by players, for players, you can outfit yourself in Hydra gear from head to toe. Have confidence that when you make a purchase from Hydra, you are purchasing a well-tested and well-thought-out product, trusted by several top teams, including first-place semi-pro team, PaintballFit.com. I personally recommend their Hydra Black knee pads. Purchases over $100 receive free shipping. Head to hydra.fit to browse their selection and discover the Hydra mentality. In the Pits is partnered with BEM Wraps. Behind every mask is a unique and creative player. Tap into it when you order your next custom headpiece. Their Build-A-Band lets you communicate with them one-on-one to make your order just the way you want, all the way down to the color of the stitch. Check out their Instagram at BEMWraps for drops and build videos of them working on orders. They offer very competitive pricing, so reach out today to get started on your own one-of-a-kind headpiece. In the Pits is partnered with Mariachi Águilas de Oro. Based in Austin and servicing the surrounding areas, these Golden Eagles will bring life to any event you are having, from birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, corporate events, or even a simple performance to enjoy. Guillermo Padilla, one of their trumpet players, is also a member of the Texas paintball scene. Visit them on Facebook and Instagram to check out some of their past performances, or give them a call to book them for your event today. In the Pits is partnered with Compete. Compete is a Texas-based brand by Jell Stewart of professional team AC Diesel that provides custom jerseys, pants, headbands, straps, tech shirts, and any other soft goods to help individuals and teams compete at the highest level. Support Texas Paintball and message Compete on Facebook or Instagram and mention In the Pits Podcast for 10% off your entire order. In the Pits is partnered with 71 Designs, owned and operated by veteran Wade Martin, and partnered with fellow Texas brand Compete. 71 Designs can take your ideas for soft goods, merchandise, and casual wear and make them a reality. Message 71 Designs on Facebook or Instagram to get started today. In the Pits is partnered with Get Dat Shot. Get Dat Shot is now scheduling photo and reels coverage for teams competing in the upcoming NXL Lone Star Major. Head to GetDat_shot on Facebook or Instagram to check out his previous work, or to shoot him a message to secure your media coverage today. In the Pits is partnered with Paintball Kumite. Paintball Kumite is a program designed by Colt Roberts of professional team San Antonio X Factor to take paintball players of all ages, experience levels, and skill groups and mold them into champions. The program breaks the game down into small, easy-to-learn sessions designed to help you master the fundamentals so that you can elevate your game. Newcomers to the program get a free 1-hour introductory class when mentioning In the Pits. To sign up for a class, message at Paintball Kumite on Instagram. Welcome, everybody, to episode 95 of In the Pits Paintball Podcast. This podcast is focused on everything that has to do with the paintball scene here in Texas, from professional players and teams to new divisional programs, local tournament series, field owners, Texas-based brands, even photographers and videographers. Every week, we'll have a short and sweet episode with a new topic and a new special guest. I'm Christian Dallas Smith. I'm a player for the Texas Titans, and this episode we are going in the pits with Jonathan Spaniol, owner of QBR, and also videographer under the name Spantastic. Jonathan, how are you doing this evening?
I am doing fantastic, my brother. Thank you so much for having me on the program. Just to be frank, you're popping my cherry. This is my first podcast.
Hell yeah. And which really surprises me. I know you've been doing videos for like 10 plus years now. So the fact that you've never been on a podcast, especially with like how high quality your stuff is, that's a little surprising, but I'm very honored at the being the first.
Well, thank you very much, my brother. I mean, back in the day, this is obviously a decade plus ago, I started Spantastic solely to be able to provide back to the player because, 12 years ago when I started playing nationals, there was no video service for the divisional player. Unless you were on the 15 to 20 pro teams, you were not getting any video coverage. So that was how I started. But moving back into the game, I am beyond blessed just to be able to even be a part of this.
Yeah. And I remember like back when I started was about 9 years ago, and there definitely wasn't very much as far as like divisional or what I was doing, which was NCPA at the time. But now just the media boom that we're like kind of at the high point of right now is incredible, and started off with guys like a bunch of guys in Texas, at least in my opinion, like yourself, Verbal, Yosh, lots of guys in Texas that have been killing it media wise.
Did I lose? I think I lost you for a second, brother.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I was just saying that like right now we're at a very high point in this media boom, which is thanks to a lot of the guys in Texas. Oh, here, let's we're gonna pause the episode here for a quick second. Jonathan, can you hear me?
Can you hear me, Christian?
Yeah. Yes, I can hear you.
Christian, can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm gonna switch over to my phone real quick just to see if we can get a better connection.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, brother, real quick.
All right, no worries there. We'll just cut all that out. Yo, homie.
All right, are we better now?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Let's see if this works.
All right. Yeah, it should work.
Better?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Let's hop back in.
All right, for sure. So we was just saying that like right now, as far as the videos go, like even thinking back 10 years ago or 9 years ago, I guess when I first got in, there wasn't very much media wise, but it was thanks to a lot of the media members in Texas, like yourself, Yosh Designs, Verbal, that like kind of media for all different parts of the game really started to, I guess, take rise, and more people inside paintball as a whole, like put more value on it.
Well, I mean, you have to understand, man, I'm going to age myself when I say this, but I come from a different era. Like even, Verbal, Yosh, all those guys came onto the scene in the last few years, and they really did create the media renaissance of paintball because the reel became the new thing. Like 10, 12 years ago, right, when I came into this game, Cassidy Sanders was the guy. That was the guy from HK that every single time, we'd sit there and we'd just wait like giddy little children for him to drop a video and then watch it again and again and again. People like Verbal, people like Yosh, they have really put it out there to where it's not just one piece of content that is going to define you. It's being able to put it out again and again and again. So, I'll be honest, I'm kind of an old head in the game now, having to learn how. Verbal puts me to shame, dude. The way he makes me feel embarrassed for my own work ethic with the way that man puts out media. Every time I try to compete, I end up getting burned out and falling off. So to have that consistency is something completely new in the generation of media, and I absolutely love it because someone like me can wake up every day and go see something new, and multiple pieces of new media every single day. That's brand new to the scene.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a reason that he's kind of earned the status that he's been given over the years, and just the consistency is a huge part, and it's a grind for sure. I've not really done, tried to do videos here and there, mostly for like the purpose of like film study for teams. And even that is just, it takes a while to edit. And what people don't realize is how long the editing process takes. For example, like the most recent video that you did with Verbal on Verbal's page, like how long did it take to edit that video?
So that was my love letter to paintball, my brother. I spent countless hours just sorting the footage. And that's what people don't truly understand. Just sorting the footage, probably on the low end, took me about 2 weeks. That's before I ever did a single bit of actual editing, found the song, added a transition, anything else. That's 2+ weeks of my time, right? And now, especially this year, me coming back to it, we've had 6 weeks between Vegas to now. I'm just now catching up and getting my footage sorted from Vegas. So it's very hard to be able, if you can, people like who is it? Dylan filmed it. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, that guy is my inspiration. I hope to God that one day I can be able to keep up not only with his level of content production, but the quality that goes with every single video that he releases. I love watching the Aftershock series. I love looking at anything he puts out.
Yeah, there was a video that came out not too long ago that Rye Guy did, where he was putting footage out between Blast Camp and NYX's scrimmage that they did this past weekend. And he had it out Sunday afternoon. I'm like, this footage is from today. And granted, it's not this super edited, there's no music or anything, but even the stuff that he got out there was, I was like, geez, these guys work fast.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, the best thing that I see in the new age of media, right? So where I come from, it used to be a whole different world technologically, to where the idea of putting something out, I mean, even today, I have a GH5S, right? So I have the option to either shoot in RAW or I shoot in the majority of what I produce, which is the high frame rate, no audio. Now you're getting to the point where you can actually blend all of that together. So I see Rye Guy, I see Verbal, they're able to produce constant quality content, dude. And it's really something the sport needs, because if you really talked about 10 years ago, a third-party independent media company having the same following as, say, a national brand, that did not exist, dude. Like the Matt the Gym Rats, mm-hmm. that stuff is crucial for the sport, because same with Wolf Critchlow, I know he's not necessarily in what we do, but he is in the scenario side of paintball. These guys are garnering followers. They're garnering a reputation that is bringing people outside of the sport, which is what we need.
100%. And I mean, I think that where paintball is right now, I know that on some podcasts they'll say people are talking about how the golden age was back in the early to mid 2000s, but really we're in the golden age right now. Just looking at the number of teams that are playing, the amount of media that's out there through videos, photos, even podcasts. I can't tell you how many new podcasts have popped up in the last 2 years that now my listening library is very full.
Well, as someone who comes from the quote unquote fuddy-duddy era of paintball, I can absolutely confirm that we are in the golden age. Whether or not anyone wants to admit it or hop on board, we can say that 15 BPS made things better. We can say that the prize pools that existed back in the day, but right now, currently, there is no reason that paintball cannot grow into what we all know it has the potential to be.
100%. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in. I want to first talk about kind of your history. So this first question is brought to us by XTPL Events. So for those listening that maybe don't know about you, how long have you been involved in the Texas paintball scene?
Oh boy. I got my start, believe it or not. It would have been Round Rock '05 is when I played for a team called Hixus. Shout out
Hmm.
to a team that probably nobody knows. We used to get beat up by X Factor every single weekend around the era of their D1 time. We played against X Factor during that era where I think they dominated D1 and then went pro in the middle of the season. This is how long ago this is. And then flash forward to, I think I was 19. All I wanted to do after I saw a Cassidy Sanders video from HK Army was to be able to provide that same thing, but for the divisional guys, because I'd watched the HK videos and the vast majority of it is pro. And if you're a divisional guy, you're just praying to God that you got a little bit of FaceTime in one of his videos. So when I created Spantastic, it was literally because I was like, okay, we've got 15, 20 pro teams. Everyone's filming them, but who's filming the 400 plus divisional teams that are there? And at that time, dude, like when I started, the most you could do is get a photographer for like $500+ and hope to God he maybe got one or two pictures of you. And that's just you standing behind a bunker. That is not telling the story. So when I created Spantastic, I actually didn't know how to film. I just went out there and weekend after weekend tried to figure out to create a product that I would want myself. If I hired somebody, I would want to give them. So we kind of coined the phrase break out to flag hang. Old Spantastic footage and all my shooters, from the second the buzzer went off to the second that you hit the buzzer, our goal was to have a videographer that is on target, on point, in focus, capturing your event. Because we all know, dude, these events, they start stacking up. You play, 15 plus events a year between local and regional, they all start to blend together. So to be able to go back and have those memories in high quality digital HD, to me, was something that I would want 100%. So when I got into it, I was like, what can I provide that I would want?
Man, well, we're definitely at that point now. I think there's a lot of others that have followed in the path that you've trailblazed, and yeah, shout out to Hixus as well. Some members that are currently on the Texas Titans were also on there. Shout out to Dylan Strickland.
Dylan, one of my OGs. Me and
Yep.
Dylan played on our first team together. And then Pelto as well, who I believe just hopped on with Jackpot.
Yes,
Shout
he
out to
did.
those boys who are dominating right now.
Yep,
Yeah,
shout
these
out
are some of my...
also to Thomas Fust, who's also on the Titans.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. These are guys that I grew up with playing, man. And it's funny because back in the day, that was just our dream, to be out there and playing and being around that. I'm about to tell a story. La Soya, right? So my first '05, Round Rock event, I just wanted to meet Chris Lasoya. And he will tell you this story because we have talked about it since. It's that second day. The cold has hit. It's an absolute... can we cuss on this? I guess.
Yeah, go ahead.
And like 14, dude. And I see him in his truck. And I come up, I wanted an autograph, and he had just had the worst day. And the poor dude in the middle of it, I'm like, Mr. Lasoya, can I get an autograph? And he just drives off.
Oh, man.
But it wasn't because he was trying to be mean. I don't think he even saw me. We have now talked about this later, and he came back and he's like, I am so sorry. I think about you all the time. And we're the best of friends. And that's the best part about paintball, is because no matter how far you go in it, there is this community that you have for the rest of your life.
Yeah, 100%. I can't tell you how close I am to how many of the paintball people that I've met over the years. It's something special about the game, like the fact, like how much sacrifice goes into all aspects of it, really, like the playing, the coaching, the even like the media side, or the being a vendor at one of these events. There's a lot of sacrifice that goes into it, and I think that kind of bonds us all.
Well, I really do think it's funny because I stepped away from the game in 2018 when I had this opportunity to go into the cannabis space, right? And I knew when I left that this wasn't going to be anything permanent. This game has my heart and soul. I'm going to be tied to it until I die, right? So when I came back in, 2023 is when I started coming back, and I was able to bring QBR into Bunker Fest and then NXL. nobody understood why I was doing it. And I tried to explain to my employees and the people that work for me, I'm like, this is a community that we can rely on and be a part of for as long as you can possibly imagine. I still, to this day, I was just in California yesterday, and I was running into people through the sport that I could call at any point, and I could have a couch to crash on, to have homies that are ready to go have a meal with me. And like, it does not exist like that in other demographics in other industries or sports. Paintball is exclusive almost to that level of camaraderie and love. You don't find it very often anywhere else.
Yeah, absolutely. Can totally echo that sentiment. So besides Hixus, what are some other teams that you've played for over the years?
Oh, so let's see. From Hixus, that was a big hiatus from then because in my middle of my senior year, it was either like you play paintball or you get a car, and at 16, you're like, well, I want to go on dates. So I definitely want a car. So I didn't come back into the paintball scene until I was about 19 or 20 when I was an adult and I was working and I actually had the capital, to be involved. Because when I came back into it, I was like, what did I used to do when I was happy? And I was like, oh yeah, paintball. Paintball makes me happy. So I came back to, I was living in Corpus Christi at the time, which is actually where I'm still based and where QBR is based. And we started going to X Factor, and this is 2010, 2011. I would just show up weekend after weekend. I really didn't have any idea how to actually film. I just had the love for the sport and love for the game. So I just go out weekend after weekend. Hey, I'll film you for free if you can give me $20. I'll be happy with that, and I did that for almost an entire year. And then we fast forward to 2000, I believe 12, where I kind of started seeing the concept of Spantastic come together because there were tons of guys who were doing individual for hire media. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you as one person, there's no way. Hold on real quick. I got to plug this phone in.
Hey, you're good.
So it doesn't die unless in the middle.
Hey, yeah, you're rocking the project shorts as well?
Yeah. I'm wearing project. You are definitely right. Actually, our boy Archie Monemeyer gave me those at World Cup of last year. The boy hooked me up. Yeah. I am very blessed on that end to be taken care of by a lot of the guys. I have no one brand that I am exclusive to. I work with. Sorry. Let's see how I can do this. Is sideways? Will that work?
Yeah, that'll work.
If it flips.
Yeah.
All right. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, I am blessed now to work with anybody, but not work for anyone. Not that I don't, have any loyalty or love for any one exclusive brand, but at this point, with what I do in the media game, I'm really hoping that I can kind of push the expansion of the sport as a whole. That's my goal coming back to it. You know what I mean? QBR is here to support and grow the sport in every aspect that we have available because at the end of the day, in my industry as well, a lot of the concept is to try and take a little piece from someone else's pie when the way I view it is like, let's grow the pie as a whole and everyone's piece grows with it. I've been really excited, to be completely honest with you, with all of the smaller brands I've seen since I've come back into the sport that are very much doing well. You've got Hormesis, you've got Enemy of the State, you've got these brands that are developing a very devout following within the system, while you have the major brands still expanding and doing what, they've always done. I truly don't see anything negative with the sport expanding in every aspect possible. I really want to see what we're doing right now continue into 2024, 2025, and beyond.
Yeah, for sure. So what was it that got you into paintball to begin with?
I mean, bro, I was a kid in Georgia. I don't know how many people can resonate with this story, but I'm sitting there flipping through every magazine that I could find. The Tippmann A5 with all the accessories was the quintessential gun that I would want, right? So my 13th birthday comes up in Georgia, and I tell my mom, I'm like, I want to go to a paintball tournament. And my gun at the time, my marker, is an Afterburner from Walmart. Right? And I tell her I want to go play a tournament with my friends, having no clue about paintball or anything that goes with it. So me and my two friends, we show up. Nobody has anything more than a semi-auto mechanical marker. And we go out and we get our shit pushed in for 2 points. And we're about to leave because I'm like, this is the worst birthday of my life. And thank God, some random dude who was supposed to be on a team, and this is a 3-man tournament, he shows up and he has 3 full setups, and he sees what's happening to me and my friends. He gives me a shoebox shocker. He gives my boy a rat impulse, and he gives my other guy an angel. And he's like, all right, just rock your fingers. And we go out and we start winning. And from then and there, I was like, oh, okay, I get it now. Like that, now I can fight back. Now this is fun. And I was addicted from then and there on.
And shout out to the patrons out there. There's like, I feel like the attitude nowadays to kind of help the new players, help get them in and like set them up for success is something that is like you're seeing more and more of recently compared to maybe like 10, 15, 20 years ago, where I remember like when I first got my start, it was like I had to figure out everything by myself. And there was definitely a whole lot of weekends where I'm like, I didn't get a single kill all weekend long. This is the worst. And now like just seeing those people that are willing to like find the new players, bring them in, help guide them along is it's awesome to see.
So you and I come from a different era. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, remember that when we got our start, there was not Gel Blaster. There was not 50 cal. There was not I play out of zone. As by the way, shout out Houston Zone, Paintball Zone, Houston. That is my home field. That's where I play. Like, we have an amazing youth program, and we go out of our way to try and make sure that they're having a good time, that they're learning the fundamentals, that they're wanting to grow into this. Because, like, dude, from my era, right? Hixus, 13 years old. I'm playing X Factor. I'm playing Todd Morrow, Alex Martinez, Colt Roberts, Dixon Yang. And bro, they did not give a fuck. They would beat us down. I still have scars on my body as a 33-year-old man that came from that era of paintball, And we say, us, is like, well, that's just what it is. But that's not what's going to bring new players into the game, unfortunately. Whether we like it or not, whether we want to, change our mentality, that is not going to get people or the younger generation to want to play with us. And I truly believe that working them through the system that I see now at Zone, which is the Gel Blasters, the 50 cal, it's making kids a lot more open to moving into the sport. You know what I mean? Whereas, when I would watch most kids my age, 15 years ago, when they'd watch you get blasted at 15 BPS, maybe 5% of those kids were like, yeah, I want to go do that. Most of them did not.
Right.
To this day now, I know that most of them were not going to be open to that. So in this new era, having something that can kind of get people used to the idea of taking a little impact, taking a little pain is much better and will lead to more growth in the sport as a whole.
Absolutely. And kind of while we're on this topic, this question is brought to us by Pod Runners Union. So what are some things that you've noticed that have changed within the Texas paintball scene, either for better or for worse, over the time that you've been in?
Buddy, I can only give you my feedback from when I came back into the game, which would have been 2023. But like coming in now compared to back then, we're living in the mecca of paintball. You are now seeing companies like HK Army, who are California-based, who grew up during the quote-unquote golden era of paintball, flat out come out and say fields like Fit, are leading the way for what is the modern-day mecca of paintball. That does not take away from California in any capacity. You've got Michael Hinman, who is leading the way with the regional, local tournament scene. I personally play that tournament myself. And I have nothing but good things to say on both parts of the coast, whether it's the WCPPL going on in Cali or the USXPL, which is going on here in Texas. The only thing that I would say negatively that I see, I really don't. I have nothing negative to say, dude. The scene is so inclusive. I love the enemies for an hour. We hate each other on the field, but you have no discourse with a person once you get off. Like, that's where we get it out. I feel like truly everybody is kind of on the same boat with how we grow this sport, because gatekeeping and trying to, maintain your little slice of the pie, it's not going to work anymore, especially in today's economy. We're not in 2005 where there was just excess money to spend on paintball, where Dynasty's getting 5 Mustangs, when they win an event.
Right, for sure. Yeah. So,
By the way, shout out to Pod Runners Union.
yeah,
Love
shout
them.
out Sasha.
Shout out.
So, I know we've already kind of covered your channel is fantastic, and how like you've put out a ton of content as a videographer, which often was featured on like kind of the big channels of the time, like PB Nation and like GI Sports' channel.
That's what differentiates us, dude. That is a huge difference, right? Mm-hmm. So when I created content, and I stopped even trying to push my own YouTube channel, because the only way I used to make money was for hire, right? Any fantastic video you've ever seen is solely paid out of my pocket, out of passion. It's not actually making me money off views. I never went and found sponsors. The only thing I did the fantastic videos was to kind of broaden the awareness of we're available for hire. You know what I mean? Now, especially, I know it's not as much as it used to be, but like 2022 and the beginning of 23, you had people making a lot of money off their reels, off their shorts. Granted, you have to be able to change, because that does change as well. But dude, when I heard some of the numbers that people were making when I came back, I was like, man, I was in the wrong era. Mm-hmm. I'm over here. Here, let me see. Right here. This is 14 years of paintball media. I have stuff going all the way back to 2011. If there's somebody watching this who wants to learn how to make reels and produce content, I would be happy to teach you, because that is what creates your following, is being able to put out that content. Now, I have a lot of it made, but you have to go produce it into something. And that you can shoot all day, every day, but that doesn't mean anything unless you have that drive, like a Verbal, or like Rye Guy, to where you can be putting it out just as fast as you're shooting it. Because, I'm going to give some of the old guys a shout out, like me and DQ. Me and DQ we have the same mentality. We want to just put our heart and soul into like one video. You know what I mean? And that be enough. But that's very difficult in the modern day of media. It's completely different. But we have to be able to adapt. And I'm trying to do the same. You'll see on my Spantastic channel, I'll have these moments of motivation where I start putting out a lot of content, but then I'll fall off, because in the last 2 weeks, I think I've been in 14 cities, something like that. So unfortunately, life always takes back, but my love is always going to be paintball. So one day, when all of this is handled, I'll be able to continue to do what I love while doing the thing that also makes money.
For sure. And kind of along those lines, this question is brought to us by Mariachi Aguilas de Oro. So what are some ways that you've put yourself out there as a content creator, or ways you've marketed yourself to like big companies or whoever that you think other content creators that are up and coming could learn from?
Well, the one thing I would say is just stick with making what makes you happy, right? I myself, when I saw, and you can go look, by the way, you can go to Spantastic, I think 2012, and see one of my first videos. And not that it was terrible, but looking at it now as, 14 years later, it makes me cringe. But that is where I started. I have no professional background. I did not go to school for this. My entire experience was just trial by fire. When people ask me, where'd you go to school? I say the University of YouTube. And it's always like a joke, because they don't pick up on it at first. And okay, I get it. But there is nobody that is incapable of doing this. What we do here in paintball, right? You'll see it all the time. People like Cassidy, or any of the people who've come before me, Matt Ingles, Cena, you figure out that if you can do this in paintball, you can do it in anything. Learning this skill set, because it's your passion, can lead to much bigger things in the long run, or it could lead you to doing something in this industry as well. I tell everybody to just pursue their dreams. My dream was to work for HK Army, and I got to do that. And it was one of the most fun, amazing, blessed times of my life. And all of those guys are my best friends to this day. I just released the World Cup video with HK Army, along as well with Verbal, but Verbal got the the puppy extension.
Mm-hmm.
He got the dogs at World Cup, because unless you know me personally, I always film the dogs at the events.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I can echo that sentiment of just like put the content out there, release it, like make it viewable. I know that my current job with Project kind of fell into my lap in no small part because of what I was doing with the podcast, just, you know, featuring different all different aspects of Texas paintball. It brought me connections with Ryan Brand and with Archie Montemayor, having them both on the show, like pretty early on, within like the first 25 weeks or so, which led to me working a little bit more with X Factor, doing practice footage, things like that, which led to me being at the top of the list when Ryan and Archie were looking to hire someone on. So you put yourself out there and you just like be ready, because there's going to be things that can come your way that you're not even like anywhere on your radar at all.
Well, you know, one of my things, you're going to see it all the time, is trust the process, right? You think every single day you're just grinding, you're just doing this. You're like, does this even have, you know, an actual ending? But then one day you just wake up and you're there. And this is something I've watched through you. This is something I've watched through everyone that's coming up in this. Consistency and doing what you love are going to pay off one way or the other. It's hard in that moment to feel like they are sometimes, and I know you know as well as anybody. You're like, God, why am I'm doing this again? And I feel the same way sometimes when I'm editing videos. I'm like, am I doing this for anybody? Does anybody even care? But for me, when I came back into the scene in 2023 and everyone told me how much the videos meant and how long they've been watching, like, people are watching, whether you directly see it or not. When you put yourself out there and you really have that passion, it's going to come back to you in one way or the other. The main thing is just don't quit. Just keep going. Just keep grinding. Even with sometimes you feel like, is this working? I know if anyone can understand that, it's you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So this question is brought to us by Bemrap. So speaking of like your filming stuff, like what is your current rig that you run?
I shouldn't laugh, but I am probably running the most out-of-date setup, but this should also inspire anybody who wants to get into the game of paintball media. I shoot, and you can check the video, the World Cup video I shot. It's a GH5S Panasonic. You can find them used anywhere from $600 to $900. Viltrox, which isn't even the name brand, Metabones is the name brand. I'm using a Viltrox speed booster, and then a 24 to 105 lens that is so... Here, let me see if I can find it real quick. Oh yeah, here we are. Oh, wrong one. So this is my old girl. She has been through the ringer, but the lens that's on there is not the right one. The lens I'm about to show you is the one that I shot World Cup on, and hopefully you'll be able to see. You see the amount of paint inside that lens?
Oh, baby.
Yeah, so if anybody ever tells you it's about the money, it's about the equipment, it's not. As long as you have something that functions and you have a vision, you know, you can create it. It does not take a 5, 6, 7,000. Cassidy Sanders taught me that. So like I'm sitting here in 2012, 2011, and I think I have a T4i, and I have a 7200, and at that point I felt like I was kind of capped by my ability with my equipment. And he flat out said, he said, the only thing that's limiting you is your brain. And from there I decided, okay, it's not going to be the equipment that limits me. It does have some bit of use, you know, but the vision and the ability to learn how to use your equipment is everything. I do not shoot in 4K. I do not shoot at the high data levels that most people use. My main thing for me, and anything that I would tell to an aspiring videographer, frame rate. Frame rate in paintball has a lot to do. So when people see my videos and they're like, how do you have that, you know, you can see that ball going all the way. It's because I'm shooting at 240 frames per second versus most people anywhere from 30 to 60. You know what I mean? But there's a reason that you also see in all my clips I have music, because when I'm shooting at that frame rate, I don't have audio. You know, A newer camera, if I dropped a couple racks into, I think it's the FX3 by Sony and some other stuff, I could do that. But right now, dude, I'm happy with the content I'm producing with my setup. And anybody could grab my setup and this old lens and everything for $1,200. No more than a good paintball gun. Oh, stupid. Sorry, had a phone call.
You're good.
But when, so any aspiring videographer, if you're sitting here wondering, what do I got to do to take that next step? A lot of it's just going to be the trial by fire of going out and learning. I do not shoot autofocus. I don't, that didn't exist when I started, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like autofocus was not even a thing. My first camera ever was a T2i. From there, I went to a 60D. From there, I went into a 6D. And then I went into the FS700, FS7. And then once I stepped back from like true production, I never needed anything more than the GH5 and the GH5S. It just depends on who your client is and what you're trying to produce. But you, to a degree, are going to be limited by your hardware. But to the opposite end, there's a lot of stuff that's on the market for a relatively affordable number that I think anybody could get in and start shooting and start making a good amount of capital. Like, look at Brandon Blue. That's one of my boys, dude. Brandon and Dylan Blue. Like, Brandon used to always talk to me. We'd be out there at the MSXL, we'd be out the NXL, and he's repping, and he'd make, what he'd make in a day, and I'd tell him what I shot per team, and he's like, dude, like, what am I doing? So instead of sitting there and wondering what if, Brandon went and got a camera, and he went out there and he started shooting. And from there, dude, he's created a media empire. I have seen clips from Blue that hit millions and millions of views, dude. And he did not have any formal training. He didn't come from a background, and he is absolutely crushing it. But a lot of what comes with Blue's success is the grind. He doesn't quit. He's at every single event. He does not miss, anything. Every single opportunity he has to bring some money in with his camera, he does it. And that, if you're not built for that, yeah, it's going to be very hard. If you're just a part-timer to be able to try and do this full-time, you're not going to be able to. You have to truly love this sport with all of your heart.
For sure. And Brandon Blue definitely is an example of that. I mean, he travels all over the world for his shots, and it's awesome to see. I also love running into Kaido every chance I get. Yeah. And here in the chat, AJ Molinari says love Spaniol.
Boy,
yeah, love Spaniol. Glad me and the Zone guys were able to be a part of Spantastic from the beginning.
Yeah, dude. If you go back to 2014, I think 2013 and 2014, Zone had a dominant year where they basically pulled the paintball fit. Where this is D4. They won every event they played. They didn't play one event that season, which another team won, but they won the series and they won, including Cup. And I think it's called the Houston Zone Domination. And by the way, shout out to Paintball Zone in Houston. I can't say it enough. Jim Hensley, he is running an absolutely amazing operation out there, truly giving back to the sport. And I have nothing but great things to say. You'll see my media constantly promoting Paintball Zone. This is a guy who's been in the game for over 2 decades, maybe longer, and truly just has nothing but good things to give back to the sport.
For sure. All right. So kind of moving forward, this question is brought to us by Paintball Kumite. So you're currently most known as being the founder of QBR, which is a cannabinoid dispensary located over in Corpus. So tell us about what is QBR, what does it stand for, and what do you seek to provide?
So QBR is a personal passion of mine because I have been using cannabinoids since I was a kid, opposed to whatever pharmaceutical recommendations that, would have been bestowed on me. I saw this opportunity because so many different paintball players, with the way we beat up our bodies and the way that we play the game, we need something to help us. And unfortunately, myself included, dude, it used to be alcohol. And as fun as that is, as you get older, the negative repercussions are not as fun as they used to be. So I started seeking a natural remedy through, plants and fungus, and that led me to what became QBR. QBR actually stands for Quality Built Relationships. That is what has helped the company propel into what it is. We are just here to provide every level of support and nurturing for someone like myself or someone like yourself that is going full throttle and is looking for a little bit of relief to live a better quality of life, without the negative repercussions of some of the options that are on the market.
Gotcha. So yeah, this question's brought to us by BioWorks IV, who's Anson, who does the IV hydration services. He did them all at Bunkerfest last year.
Shout out to that guy. He is the reason that we won in D4. We were gonna die last year during that Bunkerfest. It was not the championships; it was the one before, where it was 220 degrees. He was the reason that kept me alive that event. So shout out to IV BioWorks.
Yeah, for sure. And he's going to be doing them
plugged right into my vein.
Love it. Yeah, he's going to be doing them again in Dallas, and he does house calls. So if you or your team thinks that you're going to be needing that extra little bit of boost heading into, Sunday or whatever, hit him up, use the phone number, call or text that was in the ads before the show started. And yeah, he'll get you squared away. So how was it that you came to found QBR, and what was that process when you were still trying to get off the ground?
The main thing that I have to explain when it comes to QBR, and it's a very confusing thing because you'll see on our vending machines, you'll see on our mobiles, it says this is cannabis, not marijuana. Now, to most people, when they hear that word, they're like, aren't they the same thing? Well, in 2018, the government passed a federal bill that defined the difference between cannabis or hemp and marijuana, right? So what we do is federally legal. It is legal in all 50 states with the full blessing of the United States government. And the defining factor in that is that every single product has less than 0.3% Delta-9 THC. Now, because of how unregulated this market is and the lack of quality control, you have a lot of people that have a negative stigma of what we do in the first place. Immediately, this is why we have not Delta-8 or CBD written on our products, because that is what they think it is. We have actually been able to find ways to provide quality products that are adjacent to whatever you're going to find in a Colorado or California or Oregon dispensary, but fully legal in the state that you're operating in, because at the end of the day, you shouldn't have to feel like a criminal to use a plant that makes yourself feel better. And that's truly what we believe here at QBR. So when you see us at the paintball events and you're curious as to what we do, just come and ask us. We would be more than happy. We're not trying to force an opinion or try to make people feel like there's something uncomfortable going on. We're just trying to normalize what so many of us have been using for years just to feel normal. You know what I'm saying?
Right, for sure. So, kind of talking about what QBR is doing nowadays, and this one's brought to us by Thomas, FU Athletics. So QBR, you've posted a lot about recent expansion opportunities all across Texas and even in some other states as well. So could you tell us more about the moves that you're making now, as well as what you have planned for the future?
So we actually are beyond excited with how things are rapidly expanding here in Texas. We have our shipping container models. We have our mobile dispensary models, which I'm sure so many people have seen at the paintball events. And then our newest thing that has just been introduced this year is the vending machines. Now, these opportunities are available for anybody who is looking to get into our space, and it does not take a large amount of capital, nor does it take a large amount of time. We are actually coming on board to be your partner to help you diversify your capital and your earnings to start making cannabis your new form of passive income into 2024 and beyond. Now, we do have to be very clear that every product we do sell is regulated as a 21 plus product. We love anyone that is not of age, but we have to be very clear that these products are for adult use only.
Gotcha. So tell us more. I know I've seen some stuff about the vending machines, and I've been curious as to how they operate. Is it, I guess, are you making routine restockings across all of the different locations, or how do they work?
So absolutely, man. Right now, QBR, myself, is operating out of Corpus Christi and Houston, Texas, right? So we just brought in two different groups that are going to be expanding as San Antonio and Dallas. But basically whoever is ready to take my ideas and turn them into their own form of profit, I am here to do that. So we are here to offer these opportunities to anybody that is interested in expanding. And it could be as far as, I want to start a store altogether and get a shipping container built out or a mobile built out, or something to where I just want to be a capital investor, sit back and collect my check. So that's where the vending machines come in. We're continuing to progress and elevate this concept, because I have hopefully an app going on that will be launched by this summer, to where you'll be able to go into the app, you'll be able to find where the closest vending machine is, you'll be able to do all of the registration through the app, and by the end of this year, I'm hoping that, because we'll be at Dallas, but I'm thinking for the other 2 events before World Cup, I'm just going to send a vending machine, because it's just it's a little less hassle, it's a little easier to just be able to provide those products without having to send a full truck that has to drag a giant dispensary there, et cetera, et cetera. It's showing us more and more that this should be just as normal as getting a pack of cigarettes or getting a beer at a gas station. We're trying to normalize this, because at the end of the day, it should be normal. You shouldn't have to worry or feel weird about choosing a plant to make you feel better than whatever else is being provided.
Right, for sure. So these, I guess the opportunities, like the investment opportunities to put it in terms maybe that other people are more familiar with, is this kind of like a franchising model that you're talking about, or?
So you have 2 different opportunities with QBR, right? You have the leasing opportunity, and we do that at 2 or 3 years, where QBR is the one who provides the machine. I provide all of the product. I provide everything out. If it's in our service area, Corpus Christi or Houston, we can even find a place, fulfill it, stock it, etc. But if you're wanting to go into another state or somewhere outside of that, you would be responsible for the actual restocking fee. And usually what we do is we find somebody who is interested in doing that, and we offer them a percentage of the machines in exchange for restocking. But the other option, obviously, is just owning the machine. You own the machine, you own the location, you sell the products, you take 100%.
Gotcha.
And we can do anything with that, by the way. It doesn't have to be QBR. QBR is just a representation of what my labs, what my farms can do for you. If you wake up tomorrow and you're like, I want to start a cannabis company, you can hit us up and we can take all of the QBR products that everybody's come to know and love, slap your label on it, and you have your own cannabis brand that actually has a high quality of product across the board.
Gotcha. Yeah, I hope anybody listening out there is if they're interested, hopefully
also QBR is sponsoring teams this year. So if you're interested, QBR is sponsoring teams. So just hit me up. It doesn't even have to get your logo on the jersey, but we will give you a code. And if you utilize that code on the QBR website, at the end of the month, we calculate your sales and we cut you a check. So you can utilize QBR to fund your paintball team in 2024 and beyond.
Oh yeah. All right. I know a lot of paintball teams out there speak that kind of language for sure.
Come on, Titans.
Yeah, I'm sure they're listening. I'll definitely be talking to them about that one. So
come on, Dylan, call me.
So this next question is brought to us by 71 Designs. So looking ahead to the upcoming NXL Lone Star Major, we know that obviously QBR is going to be in attendance, but what all do you have in store for us there?
So we actually are beyond excited to be launching a whole new line of exotic strains. We've got Dior, Mochi, we got Blockberry, and that's just a few of these exotic strains that we're able to provide. Up until recently, we have been making sure that we don't go too far beyond in providing a level of, I don't know, something that's unattainable, I guess would be the right word. We want to make sure that every demographic can come into QBR and be able to get a product. I didn't ever want to provide something that's beyond someone's reach. So what we're going to be debuting at Lone Star, aside from our traditional batter, aside from our traditional carts, etc., is a whole new line of strains that are going to really be able to help individuals with their, what would the word be? Ailments. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because as we all know, the plant has so many different ways to help heal us, and every individual person has an endocannabinoid system that directly needs attention to figure out what is going to be needed to affect that different ailment.
Gotcha. And here in the chat, I'm sure you're familiar with Lasro Lopez from Austin Oni.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he says he's going to be sure to let his guys know about the sponsorship offer.
Hey, please let me know. I would love to be doing a line of Oni brand cannabis pre-rolls. We would be happy to produce that for you guys and have them on the site.
Awesome.
We want this to be normalized, man. We want, I love alcohol as much as anybody. I am not a inhibitor of any of that. But we want cannabis by the end of this year to be just as normal as having a beer or having a shot or having anything else. If you want to ignore the benefits entirely, that's fine. But at the least, let's consider that this is a federally legal product that is adjacent to anything else. If you can look me in the eye and say, I believe that we can go get to-go daiquiris, which we can here in Texas, I believe that you'd be able to go to my vending machines and grab yourself a pack of pre-rolls. Like, that should be just as normalized, in my opinion.
I hear you there. All right. So this next question is brought to us by Hydra. So kind of talking
Shout
about...
out to Hydra.
Yeah, shout out to JD Lukow. I think it was Sarah Lukow's birthday yesterday, so happy birthday to you, Sarah. Talking about the rest of this year, I know you were also saying that you're going to be behind the camera at Dallas. So what can we expect from you? What can we expect from QBR for the remainder of the year, be it their event attendance at NXL or any other regional events? Any new products on the horizon? Yeah, shout out to Hydra. Any other new products?
My favorite pants, by the way. I wear them outside of paintball. Those pants, those Hydra pants, I have them in black, I have them in gray, and I wear them to all my business meetings. Verbal's the one who turned me onto them, and I will never go back.
Hell yeah. All right. So what else can we expect from you this year? I know you're going to be behind the camera in Dallas a little bit more. Yeah, just tell us.
With the expansion of QBR and the way everything's been happening, paintball is my mental happy place, right? I wish I had more time to be involved the way I wanted to, but with the way things have been taken off of QBR, I really haven't. I wanted to play Dallas. I just had to make the decision to step back and focus on the professional side of things in my life. But on that note, I will be fully focused on media for Dallas. I will be filming pro, and I am considering taking on maybe 1 to 3 divisional teams that are interested. I would love to kind of follow the story, especially teams that have a good story to tell. That's what I am here for. And we will be doing this at every single NXL. And I'm hoping to expand this back into where more or less QBR can become fantastic in the way of offering that divisional coverage. But I don't know if I ever want to go back to the point where we're relying on for hire. We would much rather be able to provide our products and our services. And then with that, all the QBR teams that sign on and that are sponsored just get free media. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. For sure. All right. So
I will be doing a Vegas and Dallas video. I'm behind as fuck right now on the Vegas side of things, but I'm going to we have that little lull between I think it's the next event. It's like 6 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 weeks. And then
it's like 2 or 3 months.
Event,
yeah.
Yes. It's like, so I'm hoping during that time, I either find an editor or I have the time during that to play catch up. But my main thing is I'm not going to ever force something, right? So like, I wanted to get my World Cup video done before the season opener at Vegas, but it didn't happen. And I went back and I was upset with myself because it didn't get done on that timeline. But after being able to go back and putting really my heart and soul into that video and looking at it now, I'm happy that I waited. You know, in an age where having something immediate constantly is the thing, being able to produce something that, you know, you didn't force, you didn't rush, and you were allowed to be able to put in a proper method is what I'm hoping to continue to do throughout the year. I want to continue to put out videos that I watched my video, you know, from World Cup, and at the end of it, I was like, that made me want to go play paintball. And that's all I wanted when I started watching Cassidy's videos. When I first saw an HK video, it made me go, I want to go play paintball. So my goal in every event video that I release for QBR is just to provide something back to the community that makes you go, holy shit, dude, I want to go play paintball after watching that.
All right, I love it. Speaking of media, this next question is brought to us by Get Dat Shot. Shout out to you, Carlos. So message,
yes, sir.
Message Get Dat _shot on Facebook or Instagram if you're needing media coverage at the upcoming NXL Lone Star Major. So
definitely hire Carlos. He's a bomb shooter.
Absolutely. So This question is one that I ask everybody that comes on the show. Helps me keep track of like any up and comers or anybody flying under the radar out there that needs to get their names in people's mouths and in people's ears more. So is there anybody in Texas, either teams, players, brands, or projects that have caught your attention lately? Who in the Texas paintball community deserves more recognition for what they're doing?
Oof, bro, that's a broad question because like look at our state. It's the size of a freaking country. You've got so many people putting in the work in the pits. In the pits is one of the ones I would bring up right off the bat. People like myself who just love the sport and are willing to give back whatever we need to give, even if it necessarily doesn't return. You've got the Lucaus out there in Dallas creating an insanely winning program with Paintball Fit. You've got X Factor in San Antonio. You've got Houston Zone out in Houston. You've got Wasteland. There are so many people right now contributing to the overall success of the sport. If you told me 10, 15 years ago that Texas was going to be the voted mecca of paintball in 2023, I would never believe you. When HK put out their, thing of the top fields in Texas and Fit was at the number one, dude, that was an eye opener that this state is serious about its sport and the domination at the divisional level, especially that we saw last year, man. Texas is not playing around, dude. We are here to make a statement that we are the new mecca and that we are here to compete with the West Coast.
For sure. And for anybody who, I don't know if you saw the post that I made during NXL or I guess like as Vegas was going on, but I was keeping track of all of the Texas team's results and it was pretty dominant, we'll say to the least. So the final results, let me see if I can find it. So across all Texas X-Ball teams in Vegas, their win-loss tie results was 83 wins, 58 losses, and 5 ties across all X-Ball teams. Their win-loss tie for 5-man was 31 wins, 20 losses, 1 tie. 3-man.
If you are a gambler in paintball, pay attention to these stats.
Oh, yeah.
That is a big deal.
3-man, 42 wins, 24 losses, and 2 ties. 10-man wasn't so hot. It was 5 wins and 11 losses. But across all of the Texas teams, across all divisions, we had 24 playoff teams, 20 that made it to the quarterfinals, 14 semifinals, 9 finalists, 12 podiums, and 4 first place finishes across all of the Texas teams in all divisions. So Texas is definitely where it's at right now.
So you said 10-man. I'm curious, is it the East Coast that kind of has the lock on the 10-man? Who's the winners for that?
Honestly, I don't know who the winners are exactly for 10-man, but my guess is that Texas didn't do so hot in 10-man because all of their X-Ball teams were playing on Sunday. So that's just my conclusion there.
No background to that theory, but we still have the theory.
Oh, yeah. All right. So I think...
By the way, I have tons of guys in the 10-man scene out on the East Coast. Shout out to them. I know y'all are killing it.
Oh,
the Timberwolves, you got Asylum, you got Maple Leaf Chiefs. Those boys are all dominating in the 10-man circuit.
Definitely. All right. So it's been a pleasure. I think this is we're at the end of our show. Looking at the chat one last time. Last Row says he'll hit you up after the show. He'll also be in Dallas for NXL, so you can talk to him there for Austin Oni.
Hey, and everybody, if you are in Dallas, please come see the QBR booth. We will be there. We are interested in bringing on teams. We're interested in bringing on new partners in our vending machines. If you're looking at doing a whole new career, we can even set you up with a shipping container or mobile dispensary. We are here to be of service, and that includes, the media services that I'm providing on the house because I want to continue giving back to the community for what it's given to me. Whether or not I want to admit it, paintball has been the thing that has given me the most, even when, like we all do, when we're working in it, we hit our wall with it. 2018, I got to the point where I was burned out, but I knew even then that it wasn't forever. And now that I've come back, it's the love of my life. And I just hope to be able to give back at least a fraction of what it's given to me.
Absolutely. All right. So I think that does it for our show. This final question is brought to us by Compete, which is Jell Stewart's brand. Message him on Facebook or Instagram. Mention In the Pits for 10% off of your order of soft goods. So thank you so much for your time. Do you have any last shout outs or things you'd like to say before we sign off?
Oh, brother, just shout out to Texas Paintball. Shout out to everything that is going on in this beautiful scene. Shout out to everybody that is my friend that I've made over the last 15 years. Shout out to In the Pits podcast. Absolutely. I hope that one day I can get you on my podcast for We Don't Sell Broccoli, which we're going to be launching this month. Getting the time to sit down into a studio has not happened. And shout out to Houston Zone. Shout out to Paintball Fit. Shout out to X Factor. Texas Paintball, baby, till we die.
Hell yeah. All right. So that does it for our show. Thank you, Jonathan, so much. And thank you, everybody online, for tuning in. Be sure to go follow Jonathan at QBR Wellness and at QBR Vending on Instagram. And
QBR Official is the website. We do ship to all 50 states. So if you're in a state that unfortunately cannot have access, we are here to provide it.
Awesome. So what other guests would you all like to see on the show? Be sure to leave a comment down below. While you're at it, hit that subscribe button. The show goes live weekly here on youtube.com/@inthepitspaintballpodcast, and recordings are posted to YouTube, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify the next day. I want to give a shout out to my partner and sponsor tier subscribers on Patreon, FU Athletics, Get That Shot, Paintball Community, Compete, BEM Raps, Hydra, XTPL Events, Mariachi Aguilas de Oro, Podrunners Union, 71 Designs, and Bioworks IV. I will see you guys next week for episode 96. Also, since we have episode 100 coming up here pretty soon, I'm going to be releasing my first hint, kind of like I did last year for episode 50 when Maddie Marshall came on. I'm going to be dropping little tidbits to see who can guess who episode 100's guest is. So your first hint.
If you'll take us as a sponsor, QBR would be happy to become one of your sponsors as well, my friend. So
yeah, absolutely.
Just let me know.
For sure. Let's talk more after the show. So your first hint for episode 100's guest is they will be present at the NXL Lone Star Major. All right. So we will talk more, release our next hint next week. But other than that, we'll see you then. Jonathan, thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. You have a blessed day.